What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. I'm Keith and I make board games for a living, and that's why I pay close attention to what is going on with Magic the Gathering. And recently, it's been about Brawl. I've been enjoying Brawl a lot, as I have also been playing Commander a lot in person. And the difference between these two formats deals a lot of damage to me because I go, cool, new Commander. I want to build a deck for it on Brawl. And then I try and translate that to playing a Commander deck, and just it's so different. And I just really wish so many more cards were available on the platform. And often I'll go, you know what? I want to play this 3-color combo, and the one Commander that I want to play is missing, or there just isn't a good Commander in the particular strategy that I'm trying to do. There's no good aggro Commander. There's no good enchantments Commander. There's no good graveyard Commander. There's no good control Commander, and it sucks. It sucks big time when you go, cool, I want to play this strategy, and my Commander just does something completely unrelated to it because it was the only one that I liked. Like, you're playing Commander Becca Brass, you just have no pirates in your deck, but you just want to play Grixis. And I think they need to just print so many more Commanders that do exist onto the Arena client. And so I've compiled a list. I've compiled a wish list of cards that I like that I think need to be added to the Arena client so I can play with them when I'm playing Brawl. And the first one is possibly the most controversial. It's the rest of the partners. Because some of them showed up in the Final Fantasy bonus sheet, I think it is. So we got Thrasios, we got Timna the Weaver, and most of them are missing. So these 4 in particular were like my main request, but there's like a bunch of partners, and I think Brawl is the best place to be able to play partners because it's just so much more interesting and engaging, and it's so much more creature-based format rather than a fast mana-based format like Sea Edge, for example. Whereas Rograck isn't broken because if I'm playing Rogthras, there's no Cradle. I have to rely on an Evendo, or I have to rely on an Itlamok. That doesn't seem too crazy to me. It's probably not that good. And so if you wanted to play Rogsai, you want to play Yoshimaru, you want to play Sakashima. Like, there's a Sakashima deck where it's Sakashima and one of the mono black partners. It's not Tormund, I don't remember. And Garuda, the big sea monster. There's a deck where you just play like every 2-cost clone effect, and the goal is to cascade and make as many Garudas as you can to have as many Garuda triggers as possible. And that's really fun, and that would work really well on Arena, as it's much easier to handle it with your automatic client. But it's just not available. And that really sucks, because I want more partners. I want more partners in general. I want them to amend the Commander rule where any creature that costs 3 or less gains partner. You can just fucking play 2 of them if they both cost 3 or less. That would be perfect. I love partner as a mechanic. I hate the list of partners that are available. They never fit into the kind of strategy that I want. And the ones we have, there's only half of them. So I want to be able to play Rogthras and then actually have a good Teamer Commander. You will find by the end of this video that there are just no good Teamer Commanders. I hate all of them. They all suck big time. Rogthras is the only one that I would accept, and it's not good. It's just also not good without Gaia's Cradle. So I'm just meet me halfway, okay? Just design good Teamer Commanders that are interesting to play, because there just is none. I've looked at them all several times. I hate all of them so much. Anyway, let's move on to a Grixis aggro Commander. I actually really like Marchesa, and I'm currently in this obsession where I build a bracket 2 deck as kind of like an aggro tempo type thing. Like, the Commander deck that Geist of St. Traft would fit into and work and do nicely as you play a lot of other creatures and stuff that add tempo and gas to the game. I built a Marchesa list around like a draw discard mechanic. You're playing like Prof's Eidetic Memory and creatures that will draw you and discard your cards. And that kind of fit great because you're like, sick, my guys, when they attack, get more powerful. And my Commander provides a pseudo protection effect for them. And if they die and come back, they'll trigger again, which draws me more cards, discards more cards. That's perfect. But Norman Osborn has draw and discard a card written on him and costs 2 mana and is in Grixis colors. So he did the thing for that deck better. That said, all of the cards that go infinite or go broken with this effect don't really exist. Like, we don't really have any of the persist creatures. They just kind of go crazy every turn. And so I think it just becomes a good, if you wanted to play a Grixis aggro deck, a good Grixis aggro commander, where basically Dethrone says if your opponent has more life than you, your guys do good. And if you're in front, your guys don't need help doing good. And you can play a bunch of creatures that put counters on themselves anyway, like Marauding Marco or Scrounging Stingray whenever you're discarding stuff. That works great. So I think this is definitely one that I would love to see added to the client. The other Grixis aggro commanders just are cheap costed commanders that just have a spell slinger effect. And that sucks. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to turn my guy sideways and just play Kefka at that point. Just play Kefka. And that's the thing I'm trying to avoid, is I want more design diversity in the available commanders for when you're playing Brawl, because you're just stuck playing the one good guy just to be in those colors that you want. You're no longer building a deck around a commander's identity because there isn't enough available to you. That's the thing we're trying to fix. And that's the thing we're trying to fix with this guy. Not really. The whole list is the point. But anyway, this one I think is really interesting, Sephiroth of the Hidden Ways, because whenever one or more creatures are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you venture into the dungeon. Playing in paper, venturing into the dungeon is clunky. You have to have a reminder token. You die somewhere wherever you are or something like that. Whereas on Arena, managing whether or not you've been into the dungeon is really easy, actually, because it just will fucking automatically do it for you. You click which room you go into and it remembers. And this is like exactly perfectly where this kind of mechanic can shine, and it's being underloved for sure. And I think the 3-color reanimator thing also works fine, like in the previous video we did with my wish list, just in general for Brawl. Having more reanimate effects, like Animate Dead, like Dance the Dead being added to the client, fits really nicely with something like this. And you can just kind of play Esper Self Mill, you can glimpse yourself. There's no Hedron Crab. Give me a Hedron Crab so I can Hedron Crab myself. And other mill effects, like there's a door. There's a 2-drop 0/4 door that mills you for 4, where you can choose a player, but you choose yourself. And all this kind of stuff, where you're like, okay, I want to be milling myself. Overlord of the Bale Merc is a great card for such a thing. Return Karmic Guide to my hand, one of the other wishlist cards, or return Failure to my hand. And then I'm trying to reanimate stuff. I think it just is a fun card and is potentially underloved in Paper Commander because the venture into the dungeon mechanic is a little clunky, but works great in Arena, and I think it would find so much more love on Arena than in Paper. Next is Send Triplets. This one is really clunky to play in person because you have to remember, your sleeves are the same color as mine. I'm just going to steal your cards. I need to remember whose is what. On Arena, that doesn't matter. And taking control of your opponent is like pretty well handled. You're able to follow what's going on, pretty straightforward. But it is strong because you get to cast spells from your opponent's hand. You get to play lands from your opponent's hand. And I think taking the lands out of your opponent's hand is the most backbreaking part. But it still costs 5. It still costs 5, which is a lot to get to. And then it has to stay on board for a turn. Then you start to get advantage and take over the game. And then they have to have cards in hand. If they're hellbent, it doesn't mean anything. Central just does nothing in that scenario. So I think this is a really fun card that would play out well in Arena, especially because it is a 1v1 format, as opposed to Commander, where you take control of one player and they're like, well, shit. And everyone else is unaffected. But I don't know. I think it would be fun. I think it would be really cool to build like a protect Send Triplets type deck, and then get and make your opponent draw cards, like a Fairy Mastermind again, kind of effect. Make your opponent draw extra cards so you can be playing lands out of their hand and stuff like that. All really interesting and different gameplay strategies. Esper at the moment, pretty much all of the commanders in Esper just say draw cards, cast spells. That's it. And it's not very interesting. Once you've built that deck and you want to try something else, this says be a control deck. There's not like a really good control commander in the same way. Like there's no Sharum that comes in and plays Possessed Portal. There's no like commander that says yes, this is going to help me control the game. Everything else is like a tempo threat, and most of them are too slow. So anyway, moving on. Zinnia, Valley's Voice. I just think this is a very cool card, and I'm really confused as to why it isn't on the Arena client. It's part of the Bloom Burrow precons, and a lot of those cards ended up on Arena anyway. So really, Zinnia and the Polywogs, as an apprentice, Polywog something, really should have come onto Arena as well. But I think this card is very cool. Giving your other guys Offspring 2 is a huge and interesting effect. And the color chart is interesting. Basically, everything in Jeskai right now is cast 2 spells. That's what that commander does. I think it's Chokai is the... It looks like Zidru. I think is either a Minotaur or a Goat. That's just like, hey, cast 2 spells. And then it's like the most aggressive commander in those colors. Most of the other ones are like, hey, I'm casting your second spell, or for each spell you've cast this turn, or when I attack, I cast spells. Just give me a fucking dudes and lands deck. My god. So in building my Norman Osborn deck, where I was like, okay, I want to play Grixis dudes that draw cards and play things, I also wanted to build like a Jeskai tempo deck. You may have seen on the channel, we played Gwen, the Jeskai Gwen, where she flips into the Ghost Spider. And then your goal is just to exile as many cards on top of your deck and be able to play them. I was like, okay, that was actually really fun to play this kind of mid-rangey tempo-y thing where I have just lots of value creatures. How sick would it be if I just doubled the creatures I have whenever I play them? Like, you hit this mid-tempo part where you're like, okay, well, I cast Zinnia on 3 or 4, and then on turn 5, I'm like, well, here's my 3 drop, but there's actually 2 of them now. Seems really fun and interesting for, like, that kind of strategy, or even if you're just playing a fully aggro or fully flood kind of strategy. Works really cool. But it's just not on the client. So I would love to see a Zinnia Valley's Voice that pops off with a turn 4 Osler Pride. Yeah, Guide of Souls on turn 1, something, turn 2, turn 3 Zinnia, turn 4 double Ocelot Pride. I have the City's Blessing, I gained life, so I have copies of my Ocelot Prides or whatever. Would be great. That sounds awesome. And I'm sad that this card's not on the Arena client. Next is Carador Ghost Shift, and this is like the classic Abzan commander, and we do have something in this category already, which is the Mutate creature that brings back creatures with total combined mana cost of 10 or less. This one is a little bit more toolboxy, and because we don't have Marin of Clan Neltoth, I think that even if you just were playing the Mutate commander, you would just put Carador in the 99. Like, if you're playing any Abzan commander, you could just play Carador in the 99. It's just a good utility card. Considering most of the other like big graveyard 3-color ones are in Sultai. Is it Yarok the Desecrated? You've got Mordrotha the Gravetide. You've got Sin, which is like a big expensive creature that cares about having stuff in your graveyard. Carador kind of does the same thing, but he gets more upside for you having stuff in the bin. I think it works really well, and it means that when someone kills your guy and then you get to come back and play him later, it still doesn't cost $1 million, and it's one of the few creatures that does a good job of that. And so I kind of appreciate Carador for being unique in that case. I think maybe more commanders could have affinity for blank as a way to help mitigate the commander cost. Or like this one cost 8, could be kind of overcosted, but then is able to mitigate that quite a lot by putting guys in bin, putting artifacts in play, or whatever. I think Carador is great toolboxy Abzan kind of thing. You could just be playing all kinds of combos, all kinds of reanimator, make my guy happen. Play Overlord of the Baelmerc, yet another fantastic card, and be able to goof around and interact with that. So I think Carador definitely would be a great inclusion onto the client. Next is Anecdea. This is one that I've played in paper a bunch, and then the next one, spoiler alert, Narcy Fable Singer as well. Both cards that I have a current deck for that I switch between the two of them as to who is the commander. Anecdea is fantastic for an Enchantments Toolbox deck because, and the way that I played it was with Sagas, and so you're looking at stuff like Yuna, Hope of Spira, I think she's called. And you're putting the big Saga creatures into your bin, and then you're reanimating them. Anecdea is reanimating the Saga creatures, they become 3/3s, but also they have the Saga text. And so you're like, well, here's my Bahamut that blows up your shit. Here's my Primal Odin that kills your guy. And also, I'm creating these little guys that can attack as well. There's also a 3-drop enchantment creature, Fear of Something, that when it deals damage to an opponent, it takes a card out of the deck. It's one of the alchemy cards. It takes a creature out of the deck and makes it an enchantment creature and creates a copy of it or something. There's just so many cool arena-specific effects. Even there's actually a survival black creature that makes a creature that has an enchantment synergy, but is not an enchantment, and then makes it an enchantment and puts it in your hand. And like, there's just a lot of cards that I would love to be able to play in an Abzan enchantment box deck. It just isn't a good commander for it. All the commanders don't do that. Which is really frustrating, and that's why it made the list. And look, Narcy is the same. Narcy Fable Singer is the same. Narcy just says, I want to play Sagas. I want to play Sagas. I want to play Sagas. Let me play Sagas, and let me play the Saga Commander. It's not a big ask. I just want to play Sagas. God damn it. And then this is our second last one. This is Henzi Toolbox Tora. Now, some people really hate this card. I think for Brawl, because it's a 1v1 format, it's not that crazy. It kind of fits more nicely. It fits more in the power space of things that exist already. I don't think it's that crazy. But also, we do have some alchemy-specific cards that are encouraging of the Blitz as an archetype. We have a 2-drop Lizard that gives anything in your hand Blitz, which is like really good. And so having a pseudo aggro Blitz style deck, I think it works really nicely. All the good Jund commanders are Lord Windgrace and Hearthhole. Let's play lands together. This is something cool and different. You can give Emrakul Blitz for 15. And then Emrakul comes in, gives you an extra turn, and has haste, and then gets sacrificed and shuffled into your deck. That's cool. It's probably not very fun to play against. But that's interesting. I do like interesting, different takes on how to build stuff in the same colors, and this is something that I feel like is missing from Jund. As you can see, I've said each of the other ones is kind of looking at an archetype that isn't very well represented within the existing commanders we have. We just need more of them. There isn't that many in general, and so I always stuck playing with just Kefka when I want to be actually playing Marchesa, or playing Zergo Helm Smasher when I actually want to be playing this one that didn't quite get added into my list of slides. Excuse me while I fix everything. Queen Marchesa. So, Monarch. I think Monarch is a totally fine mechanic that's easy to track on Arena. That is just one other guy. So just attack that one other guy, and then you'll get the Monarch back. We're all playing aggressive 3-color things. Look, my complaints with Zergo and the Mobilize commanders is that they don't have haste because Mobilize is so strong. And so if you're playing a really aggressive Mardu deck, you got like your Ragavan on turn 1, you got your Voice of Victory on turn 2. They represent a big board threat, but they don't close very well. Queen Marchesa both has Death Touch and haste, so she will always trade profitably or she'll get in for 3. When she enters, you become the Monarch. So even if they've taken the Monarch from you, you get it back. So you'll be drawing a card in your end step on the turn that you play Queen Marchesa, which I do like very much. And then if you retain the Monarch, you get a hasty 1/1 threat because it has Death Touch and it will help get through damage onto your opponent. which I think actually does work really well in the Brawl environment. So I would love to see this one as well on the Arena client. Now that's my list. That was my 10 guys that I wish were printed into Brawl, so you can play it on Arena. Like, I don't think there's any format. There's like, Historic doesn't become broken because Anecdea is printed. I think that a lot of these cards just are very much, hello, I am a commander, please play me in a commander format, and they do a much better job in a more 1v1. Like, maybe Narcy is a bit slow, and Anecdea does a better job in what they're trying to do. A Toolbox definitely is putting that kind of aggro threat on there. My Chaser helps protect your guys and puts that aggro threat on there. Send Triplets is a huge control threat and is so much more interesting in a 1v1 because it is able to more effectively lock down your opponent. And so I think that these are really good inclusions that would be for the Brawl archetype. But I'm now curious, do you have any favorite commanders that you wish you could be playing on Brawl that maybe you play in paper and they just haven't added it yet? And when I write my little list, and then they say, "Hey Keith, which guys do you want to add?" I'll put them on the list for you so that they will definitely add it to Brawl. That's how this works. That's how this video works. That's how the comment section of this video works. And then when they do come out, we can all party and rejoice together because I believe Brawl is a good format. It just needs a little help at the moment.